Alright guys, Censor here again today, and Douglas Censor Martin has officially confirmed himself to be a part of the New York franchise for the upcoming season. We're going to get into that today. Of course, the team has already been announced. He's going to be a substitute kind of / content creator type guy on that team. He doesn't really talk about the content creation so much in his YouTube video that he posted, as far as I'm aware. I only watched the first couple of minutes of it, so maybe he does go on to it, but a bit of a hurry today. I'll leave everything linked down below if you guys would like to check it out, as of course you will. This is big news, and I'm sure you guys will leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. So like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you are new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, some rumours and some stuff to discuss before we get into the centre stuff, and also by the time this video is going live, the fourth player on the Dallas team will have been announced, as I say, in a bit of a hurry today, so I'm recording this pre that announcement. Rumoured to probably be Illy being announced tonight, and then Crimsix following up by tomorrow, but yeah, if that isn't the case, then I'll let you guys know. So yeah, Ken Jong here tweets out a gif of Slasher saying Pacific time. I don't know if there's anything to be read into this, just the fact that Slasher's rumoured onto the Los Angeles team, talks about Pacific time. Pretty interesting. Don't even know why this is the case. Then we have this Censor talking to Glaster. Like, people are like, oh, you know, is this a Dallas thing? Obviously not. Censor talked about his announcement was going to be today. That would of course clash with Dallas's fourth player announcement, unless Censor was somehow finessed his way into that team, which isn't the case. Moving onwards from this, then we have this from Frosty Renegade, who I believe was a former World Championship winner in Halo alongside Shotzi, who's just been picked up to Dallas. Frosty, who's rumoured onto the Florida team, says, I better see Renegade get picked up in Modern Warfare. Dude's a god. Hope the CoD scene doesn't sleep on him, so something to keep in mind there. Doug, of course, also baiting this image with Scumpy here. And yeah, moving onwards, just to touch on yesterday's video, just in a little bit more detail. I wanted to go a little bit more depth than what I discussed yesterday. If you didn't check out yesterday's video, related, of course, to Dashi and the whole OpTic Gaming, Los Angeles, Chicago potential drama behind the scenes, that we're rumoured, or at least is rumoured, that Dashi signed on to that Los Angeles OpTic team alongside TJ, Slasher, Kenny, and JCap, and then kind of had second thoughts for whatever reason, not yet determined, and wanted to be traded for Gunless onto the Chicago team. One thing I didn't really touch on yesterday was the extent to which that may affect these teams' chemistries, right? If it is the case that the Chicago team was kind of down for that, and they were like, you know, maybe Dashi probably is a better long-term fit than Gunless. Gunless, of course, had the whole thing with Formal and the Luminosity thing, and potentially is a more toxic character, right? So we had that whole aspect of it. So maybe the guys in Chicago were like, maybe this is a good change. The fact that it then got denied by OpTic Gaming, at least as far as we understand, then has both ramifications for both teams, right? Maybe the Los Angeles OpTic team, or maybe Dashi. I mean, look at this tweet, right? He doesn't seem particularly happy with the situation he's found himself in, rumoured to, of course, have been trying to bench himself, right? So you have that whole aspect of it, whether the whole team chemistry on that Los Angeles OpTic team is going to be compromised as a result, certainly possible. And then also you have the situation on Chicago, when Gunless is thinking, well, do these guys even want me to stay? Like, when Dashi was on the table, they pretended they wanted me, but as soon as Dashi comes along, then they, they're willing to give me up, right? These whole aspects of the situation create a very interesting timeline going forwards. Gunless is not a guy to take things lightly, as far as I'm aware, as far as at least we see from the outside world. If he thinks something like that's going on, he's going to be having words with people, and if he's not having words with people, he's having words with people inside his own head, right? And he's starting to question the actions that people take, and maybe some of the guys in Los Angeles OpTic are doing a similar thing. So some interesting drama, some things to keep your eyes on going forwards. Of course, these guys are professionals. They should be able to keep all these things under wraps and not have any issues with their team chemistry. At the end of the day, in a normal competitive sport, right, you don't really get a choice if you're a pro player with who you play with, to some degree. Like, maybe only a tiny amount. The manager, the coaching staff, all these people decide the players. If you don't get along with someone, you have to work it out, and you have to win as a result. In Call of Duty, for a very long time, it's been based, of course, on who the players want to team with. The organizational, often pick up a team that has assembled itself, and if they want to make a change, then the organization really has nothing to do about it. But in this season, with all the added situation that's going on, probably that's not the case to the same degree, and organizations are going to have a lot of control over what the players say, first of all, and who they actually decide to play with, and you might just have to suck it up and get on with it and be a professional, which I'm sure will happen with a lot of teams, but these are still young guys, right? There's definitely some potential for internal conflict, and I'm sure that's something that we will see to a great extent going forward in the season. Thought I'd run this past you as well. Revitalize still blows my mind that OpTic never tweeted about Scump's departure, This was something that I didn't even really think about at the time. Scump, of course, tweeted about his departure, but OpTic Gaming, Scump has been the face of their brand for 7 years, the absolute leader, figurehead of the OpTic Gaming organization. Doesn't even get a tweet when he departed. Really insane stuff to even contemplate thinking a couple of years ago. Kroenke CDL Intel talking about this logo that came along on Reddit. You can see this one on the right was rumored, because of course we had the rumored Chicago Huntsman name, which may or may not be true for the Chicago team. We will find out in coming weeks and days. And on the left here, so just read through this. The logo was briefly posted on Reddit, and the person who originally made it came to me and said it's fake. He made it for fun a while ago, and his friends added the font and colors and posted it on Reddit. Looks pretty cool, to be honest, but if you guys had seen this, then keep in mind that this is not what it's going to look like, or at least I mean, imagine if it did look like this. That would be the ultimate debate. Maybe they just straight copy and paste here. Also, talking about this, before we get into the NV stuff, Dallas Empire. Now, if you guys remember a little bit ago, probably should follow this actually. A little bit ago, we had this whole thing from this individual, and well, let's just go on to this tweet right here. So my DM is full of people trying to get me to sell my @, because her @ previously was Dallas Empire, and you know, my guy said 1K, who was the guy from NVJ, Jay Hairston, I believe, that was offering her $1,000 for this, and well, it turns out, as we see right now, that @ has since been sold. Wonder how much money she made off it. Probably had to sign like a non-disclosure agreement or something like that, so she couldn't talk about it. Hasn't been mentioning anything on Twitter since her @ has changed, but the Dallas Empire is gone. Maybe that is going to be the team name, of course, for the Dallas team. As of recording this video, it has not yet been announced what the fourth player for Dallas is going to be. Probably Illy, but I didn't want to dwell on it too long. Let's talk about the Doug Censor Martin stuff. Yesterday, he did a video talking about leaving FaZe Clan. We talked about it yesterday, how he'd taken FaZe out of his bio, he'd changed his Instagram name, pretty much all but confirming that FaZe is going to be out of his life going forwards. And it's a really big commitment from Doug to leave an organization like FaZe, to chase this dream, right, of being a professional Call of Duty player once again, having been out for a year or so, a couple of years now, not had too much success in at least the recent past, but yeah, he's obviously put his heart on the line, right, and he's left FaZe Clan, and this was a screenshot from the end of the video. You could see him wearing a Andbox Censor jersey in just a couple of frames here. This was at the end of the video, and this is pretty interesting, of course, because Andbox, well, basically a dead giveaway. Andbox are the primary sponsor of the New York Call of Duty team. If you guys remember when Zuma and all that were doing their announcements, the Andbox was as a key feature of that, right? So Censor pretty much leaking he's going to be at New York. I think I talked about this rumor a while ago, just because I don't really know where it came from. I do remember Censor saying that his dream city to play in at some point was New York. So yeah, I remember seeing that and thinking, well, maybe New York could be a good target for him. Turns out he has gone there, which kind of shows that he has a lot of leverage in these negotiations, right? He manages to get the organization that he most wanted to play for, as far as we're aware. Possibly he'd signed that ages ago when he even said what his dream city was, and he was just saying that because he'd already had things going on behind the scenes. Possible that's the Doug Censor Martin way. But let's just have a look through his tweets here over the last few hours. So he does this bait thing with Scump. Then he says 9-hour photo shoot, etc., etc. But you know, and then it gets some replies. Why are you so addicted to being a competitive CoD player? Because I want to be the face of gaming through competing in professional Call of Duty, and you're doing that by retiring every second day. Only retired twice because of me not wanting to let go of FaZe. I'm all in with professional CoD. Nothing holding me back now. I think he makes a fair point as well. In another tweet, I'm not sure he put it quite on the timeline here. Maybe it was in his tweets and replies. But he did say how, like, being the face of gaming doesn't necessarily mean being the best player, like surpassing Scump, Crimsix, Karma, these kind of legends in championships and in talent and all of these things. The kind of things that Censor stand for in terms of the gym life and that kind of element to the gaming atmosphere is something that he could really stand for in gaming and Call of Duty on the whole. And, you know, it's obviously a great drive from Censor that he has this commitment to be grinding through. And yeah, just a couple of minutes ago, joined CDL New York City and the Andbox official family. New chapter starts now. So I wonder what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. This was a tweet I made yesterday. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it will be linked down in the description box below. And I've really talked about how I've heard some people say that obviously picking up Doug is not a good move. It means there's you know, misplaced priorities, right? In my opinion, I don't think there's really anything of the sort. We know that the New York team is Zuma, Attach, Accuracy, Temp, and Zero, I believe, is the New York squad. We don't have any other substitute announcements yet apart from Douglas Censor Martin. But really, there is no downside here. We know that there's a minimum 7-player roster, a maximum 10-player roster. which means that Doug falls somewhere in the middle there. It's really not a risk in terms of that you have 4 other spots to put in substitutes which may be more realistic options. You know, to some degree, if you're in New York City, you're bringing Doug in for the element of the fan base that he brings in, and I think that that's a relatively key factor in terms of bringing in people who are fans of Doug, so who watch his YouTube videos, to potentially being Call of Duty fans as well. That's a potential avenue in for them that they have through Douglas. And I don't know why I call him Douglas, but yeah, you know what I mean. Same in the way that people used to watch Scump's pub stomping videos back in the day, and like myself, got into competitive as a result knowing that he played that game. There's the same kind of parallel here. Also, to some degree, it was pointed out by an individual down below, I believe, Adrian here, who kind of says that everyone rooting against Doug's team. And I think there's an element to which that's true. I think that some people are going to actively root against New York because Doug is there. But I think that's a very small number of people on the whole, especially compared to the amount of people that are probably going to support New York because they've come from Doug's side. That may not be an incredible number of people, but the kind of branding and the attributes that Doug can bring to a team as a content creator, and also the fact that he's going to put his head down and he's going to grind. That's the type of guy that Doug is. And, he really wants to be on the starting lineup at some point. Looking at that team, Zuma, Attach, Accuracy, Temp, and Zero, difficult to see like exactly where he's going to fit in on that squad, right? But you never know. Maybe chemistry breaks down between that team later in the season and they decide, well, might as well give Doug a go for a couple of league games, see how it goes. Back in World War II, he was a competent player. He might not have put up the best figures, but he played a relatively difficult role and he was the in-game leadership type figure on a team. And at Birmingham, they did really well on that Lightning Pandas team, even beating the FaZe clan that he was a part of. So, Doug, at the end of the day, you never know. This could be a game that kind of suits him. He may at least be a competent player. He's not going to be a spectacular player. He's not going to be a player that you're going to want to put in your starting lineup, no questions asked. But he's a guy that come a couple of months in, he could put his head down and really be a competent individual that may get a spot on a team depending how the chemistry goes, especially on this New York squad. So I really think there's no downside to it. Plenty other room on the New York team to put other potential substitutes on the squad. They're going to need at least one more, as far as I'm aware. They, of course, has JP and Revan as coach. So obviously those guys have said, why not get Doug in? Obviously, it's a pretty intelligent decision. So just before we finish here, this is what Temp has to say when Temp realizes he is teaming with Doug. What am I saying? Pretty funny image, this one, pointed out to me by Christian Latimer. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you are new, as always. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.
Massive 1v1 win right there as the whole team of CMG Red turned for the kill. Now a 3-on-1. Time making progress. 22 seconds, full challenge. Hugh. If there's anyone to do it, it's going to be Hugh. He's got to get in a touch of the league match. Able to find one and a second. Looking for the third. Ring around the Rosie we go. He's got a grapple if he wants to play with it. Only 12 bullets in the cartridge. We'll play with a little bit of elevation. And Hugh for the 1v3. And everybody watching from Dallas has just grown a smile on their face.